Some people don't realize what peace you brought until their chaos has no one left to drain. It doesn't hit during the day, not when they're laughing with friends, not when they're busy posting stories, not even when someone new is giving them attention. No, it hits at 2 a.m., when the world slows down, when the silence is so loud it starts whispering your name back to them. Not because you messaged them, but because you didn't. That's when it begins. That's when they feel the full gravity of your absence and the weight of everything they thought they'd never miss. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse, quiet, still. You don't chase ships, you just stand there, shining. Some pass by, some crash, some never return. But the lighthouse doesn't move, it just is. And that's what you were to them. A consistent light in a storm they didn't even realize they were in. But now that you're gone, now that the signal is missing, suddenly they're lost. Drifting. That's what hits at 2 a.m. Not your voice, but the fact that it's no longer there. See, my friends, people don't always miss you in the moment you walk away. They miss you when their ego quiets down, when the applause fades, when they finally sit with the consequences of their own emotional immaturity. That's when your absence becomes a presence they can't ignore. That's when they realize you were different. You weren't playing games. You weren't seeking validation. You weren't showing up to be seen. You were showing up because you cared. And when that kind of care disappears, it doesn't leave a silence. It leaves a void. They might lie to themselves, "I'm fine. He didn't even matter." They'll come back eventually. But pride has a bedtime, and by 2 a.m., all those lies start to crack. That's when they start replaying the way you used to speak life into them, the way you stayed calm when they brought chaos, the way you kept showing up even when they didn't know what they wanted. And now the silence they thought they wanted, it's too quiet. Let me tell you something, folks. Stillness doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've outgrown explaining your worth. There's a kind of power in the man or woman who can walk away, not with noise, not with rage, but with peace. That's Stoicism. That's emotional mastery. That's what turns regret into a mirror they can't stop looking into, not because you're chasing them, but because your calm haunts them more than your chaos ever could. You were the calm in their storm, but they didn't see it then. And now, as they lie awake while the world sleeps, that realization starts to settle in. You're not sending a "just checking in" text. You're not posting cryptic stories. You're not reacting. You've become quiet. But it's not an empty quiet. It's the quiet of someone who has healed, who no longer waits to be chosen, who no longer performs for people who didn't appreciate the show. So, if you've ever felt like your silence was misunderstood, don't explain it. Let it echo. Because at 2 a.m., your absence speaks louder than anything you ever had to say. Drop this in the comments if it hits home. My silence has power. That's your affirmation. Say it, write it, feel it. And if you're feeling this energy, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. We're just getting started. Stay with me, because what comes next? Oh, it's going to hit even deeper. The hour when pride can't pretend. Ego stands tall during the day but crumbles quietly at night. There's something about 2 a.m. that exposes what 2 p.m. hides so well. During the day, pride wears a mask. It smiles, posts, replies to comments, tells people, "I'm good." But when the lights go out and the distractions die down, the mask slips. And suddenly, your name comes back. Not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way. No, it comes back like a whisper, a sentence unfinished, a comfort they thought they didn't need. Now missed in a silence they can't escape. It hits them differently, because you're no longer there, not just in the room, but in the emotional atmosphere. You're not watching their story. You're not reacting to their posts. You're not showing up in ways they used to ignore. And that absence, it's a mirror they didn't ask for, but it's showing them everything they didn't want to see. Picture this. They're lying there, staring at the ceiling, phone on their chest, music playing softly, but it's not helping tonight. Something's different. It's not about what you said, it's about what you didn't. It's not about a breakup text or a big dramatic ending. It's about the gradual fading of someone who used to stay no matter how far they pushed. And now you're gone, fully, silently, without announcement. That's the part that breaks them. The questions start to echo. Why hasn't he messaged? Is they actually done? Did they move on already? And underneath those questions is a fear they don't admit out loud. What if they actually meant it this time? You see, my friends, during the day they don't feel it. They're too busy performing, laughing, uploading stories, getting reactions, entertaining distractions. But 2 a.m., that's when performance ends. That's when the curtain falls and real emotion walks back on stage. That's when they remember, not the arguments or the tension, but the quiet ways you used to care. The way you remembered the little things, the way your presence calmed the chaos they didn't even know they were living in. You were peace they didn't know they needed, until they realized it wasn't there anymore. And now they're wondering, how did I not see it? How did I let someone like that just go? But it's not that they couldn't see it, it's that pride blurred the lens. They convinced themselves you'd always be there. That your consistency meant they could take their time, that your patience meant you'd wait forever. But folks, forever ends the moment you choose to protect your peace. And that's exactly what you did. A Stoic doesn't walk away to make a scene, they walk away to reclaim their silence. They don't throw a fit, they just stop filling the space they were never appreciated in. That's what makes your absence so loud now. You didn't announce it. You simply became unreachable to the version of them that didn't value you. They might try to tell themselves stories. You didn't really care. You're just trying to hurt them. But that's a lie. And deep down, they know it. Because you didn't just disappear. You gave them chances. You gave them clarity. You gave them care, even when they gave you confusion. What changed wasn't your love. It was your tolerance. You finally saw that showing up for someone who doesn't see you is a betrayal to yourself. And now, while they lie awake wondering where your energy went, you're asleep, calm, grounded, evolving. Because your healing no longer depends on their realization. You're no longer waiting for a text, a call, or a breadcrumb of maybe. You've stepped into a deeper kind of self-respect, one that doesn't need an audience to feel whole. This is what makes the night so hard for them now, not just because they miss you, but because they're realizing they never met the version of you that gave up. And now that version is the only one that exists, the one who doesn't reply, the one who doesn't check in, the one who doesn't wait for someone to realize your value. You embody it, you live it. So yes, it's difficult for them, for anyone who fumbled what was rare, but it had to be this way. Because if you stayed, you would have had to shrink. And shrinking for love, that's not love. That's self-abandonment. That's a man or woman forgetting who they are just to fit in someone else's momentary idea of enough. But you remembered who you were, and you walked out of the fog. Now they're the ones wandering, not because you want them lost, but because they never learned how to stand still when the constant you went quiet. Let this be your reminder, my friends. Your stillness is not weakness. It is your final word. It is your boundary without needing explanation. It is your legacy, because people forget words. But they never forget how your absence made them feel when they finally understood what your presence had been doing all along. If this moment resonates, if you've ever reached that place where you stopped showing up to be understood and started showing up for yourself, drop this in the comments. I honor my silence. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that this isn't just about walking away. It's about rising, quietly, powerfully, permanently. And stay with me, because what we're about to talk about next is the shift that happens when your peace starts becoming the one thing they can't recreate. Where did they go? You don't lose people when they leave. You lose them the moment they stop showing up the way they used to, and you didn't notice. It always starts the same way. One day, you're there, present, available, giving energy without asking for much. You react to their stories. You reply within minutes. You remember the little things. You check in. You ate? How was your day? And they take it as routine, background noise, a constant they assume will never shift, until one day, it's just not there anymore. Now they sit at 2 a.m., phone in hand, staring at your profile, but not seeing any green light. No story views from you, no typing bubble, no message that says, "I was just thinking of you." And that's when it hits. Where did they go? Not physically. You're not blocking, deleting, screaming for attention. You're just not where they left you. The place they expected you to be, the emotional spot you always held open for them. It's vacant now. And what they don't realize is, you didn't leave to prove a point. You left because you realized you didn't need to stay. You outgrew being the emotional crutch for someone who only reached for you when it was convenient. The crazy thing, you were never loud about your love. You didn't flood them with grand declarations. You didn't demand attention. You were quiet with it, consistent, gentle, stoic, and that kind of presence, it becomes air, essential, invisible, taken for granted until it's gone. So now, as they scroll through their phone, refreshing a screen that doesn't light up anymore, they ask themselves things they'll never say out loud. Did I push them too far? Why aren't they checking on me anymore? Did they finally stop caring? And the answer is simple, but not easy. You didn't stop caring. You just stopped bleeding for people who didn't know how to bandage your wounds. This is the part they didn't expect. They thought you'd reach out eventually. They thought you'd break, that your silence was temporary, a bluff. But silence, when it comes from someone who once gave too much, isn't a bluff. It's a boundary, one born from deep clarity, from sitting with yourself and realizing, I can't keep pouring into someone who lets me run dry. They used to scroll past your name like it was nothing. Now it stops them, makes them think, makes them hesitate. Not because you posted anything dramatic, but because you didn't. You're no longer trying to be seen. You've become unseen by choice. That's what makes your absence powerful. It's not fueled by revenge. It's powered by resolve. And folks, that kind of shift, it shakes people in ways words never could. Because anyone can say, I'm done. But when you live it, when your energy pulls back with grace and no explanation, it exposes the truth in their behavior. It forces reflection. It reveals who they were when they thought you'd never walk away. Now they notice the gap, the space you used to fill, not with noise, but with calm, not with control, but with care. And as they lie there, asking themselves why you left, they don't realize the real question is, why did they never meet you halfway when you were all in? It's painful, not just for them, but for you too. Because pulling away isn't easy when you're someone who leads with heart. But you didn't leave out of hate. You left out of self-respect. You stopped waiting to be chosen by someone who couldn't even see what they had. And now, at 2 a.m., as they sit with the silence they thought they wanted, that question echoes. Where did they go? But the truth is, you didn't go anywhere. You just stopped showing up for someone who never truly showed up for you. If this spoke to you, if you've ever had to become distant just to finally be at peace, drop this in the comments. I stopped showing up where I wasn't seen. Say it, own it, show them. Because what comes next is the realization that your energy, your calm, your presence, it wasn't ordinary. And they're about to find out just how rare it really was. Stay with me. A presence that no longer waits. The most unforgettable people are not the ones who tried to impress you. They're the ones who never needed to. At first, they don't notice. That's the hardest part. You stop replying right away. You stop reacting to every little thing. You pull your energy back, not in anger, not in some petty game, but slowly, gently, like someone closing a door they've held open too long, and they don't flinch. They don't ask why. They don't even look back, because they assumed you'd always be there, that you were their constant, the calm in their chaos, the voice in their storm. But now that calm is gone, and they don't know when it happened. All they know is something feels different. There used to be a comfort in knowing you were one message away, that no matter how distant they became or how much they pushed, you'd check in. You'd find a reason to stay. You'd bend. You'd explain. You'd wait. But you've stopped. And that shift, it's louder than any goodbye. Now they're starting to feel it. Not in the loud moments, but in the quiet ones. Not in their parties or distractions or conversations, but when they're alone, when the room is dim, when they scroll past something that reminds them of you and instinctively want to send it, but pause, because they remember. You don't wait anymore. You don't reach out. You don't live in hope. You moved on, not to someone else necessarily, but to a version of yourself that doesn't revolve around proving your value to anyone. That's the part they didn't expect. They thought time would make you weaker, that distance would make you crack. But a Stoic doesn't chase. A Stoic detaches with grace. You didn't run away from them. You simply stopped running toward them. And that presence you once gave freely, it's no longer theirs to claim. You see, there's something deeply unsettling about realizing the person you thought would always wait finally stopped waiting. They thought you'd fold. That silence meant hesitation. But your silence, it's peace, it's discipline, it's power wrapped in restraint. Because you didn't leave in anger, you left in clarity. You walked away not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. They'll say you changed, that you got cold, that you disappeared, but let's be honest, you were always there. They just never truly arrived. They were half in, half curious, half aware. But you were all in. And that presence, the one that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't demand, it's rare. And now that they can't feel it anymore, they're realizing just how heavy its absence is. The truth is, your presence wasn't something loud. It wasn't loud enough for everyone to see. But it was steady. It was warm. It was felt. And now that it's no longer waiting in the shadows of their indecision, it haunts them in the silence they once thought they preferred. Now they scroll through your old texts, revisit the way you used to show up, remember the nights you stayed up for them, the small things, the consistent care. They wonder if you're thinking about them, if you still feel something, but you're not where they left you. You're not the same version they remember. You've upgraded, not to prove a point, but to protect your peace. And that realization, it stings. Not because they lost you in a dramatic way, but because they lost access to something real, without even knowing it. So if you've ever been that person who gave deeply, waited patiently, and then finally chose peace, say this out loud: I don't wait to be seen. Write it in the comments. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that your love doesn't beg to be noticed. It shows up. And when it's no longer received with care, it moves on, not in bitterness, but in strength. Because that's what they're feeling now, that absence, that shift, that quiet presence that no longer waits. And my friend, that's when they finally realize it wasn't just you that was rare, it was the way you loved. And now they'll search for it in others, but never find it the same. Stay with me, because what comes next? It's the part where they start to question everything, and you're no longer answering. The weight of unsent messages. Sometimes the heaviest things we carry are the words we never had the courage to send. It starts with a draft, a message half written, maybe just your name, maybe a line like, "Hey, just checking in." but they stop. Backspace, reread, delete. Because deep down, they're not sure how to reach someone who's no longer waiting to be reached. At 2 a.m., the ego goes to sleep, and truth sneaks in through the cracks. That's when they pick up the phone, stare at the screen, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, they hesitate. Because something in the air feels different now. Your energy, once constant like a heartbeat in the background, has gone still. And not the kind of still that means you're bitter or angry. The kind of still that says, I'm at peace. I'm no longer here to rescue you from your own silence. Now they're caught in a loop. Should they message you? Should they wait? Will you even reply? And the scariest thought of all, what if you've really moved on? That's the fear they can't shake. Not that you're mad, but that you're okay, that you're healing, that their name doesn't echo in your thoughts the way yours echoes in theirs. Because here's the truth. They expected you to break first. They thought you'd crack under the silence. That eventually you'd send that familiar late-night "you up" message, or maybe check their story. Like an old photo. Something, anything. Just enough to let them know you still care. But nothing came, no reaction, no mistake, no digital breadcrumbs, just space, real space. And that space started to grow teeth. You see, when you stop chasing people who feed off your presence but never give you theirs, you stop becoming their safety net and start becoming their lesson. And that lesson? It doesn't come easy. It hits late, quietly. When the distractions stop working, when no one else feels like enough, when the ones they entertained instead of you start to feel like static noise instead of substance. Now their fingers hover over the screen, their pride says, don't do it. Their heart says, maybe just once. But their fear, it screams, what if they've already outgrown the version of me that took them for granted? And they're not wrong to worry, because you didn't leave to teach them a lesson. You let go to stop betraying yourself. That's what they're starting to understand. Your silence was never a punishment. It was a boundary, a line drawn not in anger but in self-respect. You didn't want to play games. You wanted peace. You gave it every chance. And when it became clear that your love wasn't being matched with effort, you chose to stop performing for someone who couldn't see the show you were putting on. So now the messages stay unsent, because they don't know who you are anymore. The old you, the one who would respond in seconds, who would accept the breadcrumb, who would come running at the first sign of "I miss you," that version doesn't exist anymore. You've evolved, you've risen, you've realized that if they couldn't value you in presence, they don't get access in absence. What they don't understand is that your silence is no longer the void they assumed they could fill on command. It's now a mirror, one that reflects everything they ignored, every ignored effort, every unanswered message, every moment you gave your full self to someone who only gave you half. And so the message stays typed, but never sent. Because even though they want to hear your voice, what they fear more is that your silence now speaks more powerfully than their words ever could. They know you're not being cruel. You're just not returning to confusion. You're not replying to mixed signals. You're not choosing someone who once made you question your own worth. You're not unavailable. You're just finally unavailable to them. So if you've ever felt that shift, if you've ever looked at your phone, knowing someone's probably staring at yours too, but staying grounded in your silence, drop this in the comments. My silence protects me. Say it out loud. Show them, show yourself, show the world that peace doesn't come from closure, it comes from self-respect. And stay with me, because the next part, it's the moment they start to remember, not just your words, but your presence, and realize that they'll never feel that kind of calm again. The memory that can't be muted. You don't miss a person's words. You miss the feeling of peace their presence gave you, and that doesn't go away quietly. It's always the little things that hit the hardest, not the dramatic fights, not the final conversation. It's that one hoodie still folded in the corner of their closet, that playlist you made together, that inside joke that no one else would understand, that scent that catches them off guard in a hallway or a cafe. These are the ghosts they didn't plan on, the echoes of you that show up uninvited, because your presence was never just physical, it was emotional gravity. At 2 a.m., it all comes rushing back, not as a single memory, but as a flood. And the worst part, they can't turn it off. Because you didn't just occupy space in their life, you brought peace into it. A peace they didn't even know they were receiving until now. Now when you're no longer the one sending, "Let me know when you get home" texts. When you're no longer holding space for their storms. Now that you're gone, the absence isn't quiet, it's deafening. They try to drown it out, scrolling, music, maybe even someone new. But nothing sticks. Nothing hits the way you did. Because those people, they're trying too hard. They're loud. They compliment and chase and flood their inboxes with words that sound nice, but feel empty. You weren't like that. You were calm. You were soft in your strength. You didn't force your way into their heart. You just showed up, day after day, with a kind of emotional steadiness that now feels irreplaceable. They thought your calm meant indifference. They mistook your stillness for lack of passion. They thought because you weren't loud, you didn't care. But now, in your absence, they feel it. They feel you. And it's not a performance. It's not nostalgia. It's the sharp realization that you were the one who anchored their chaos without needing to control it. Now everything else feels like noise. They laugh, they post, they flirt. But under it all, they compare. Every new connection is secretly held up next to you, and they won't admit it, not even to themselves, but the standard has been set. Not by a grand gesture, not by expensive gifts, but by your quiet consistency, your presence, the way you looked at them without trying to fix them, the way you didn't argue when you could have, the way you walked away, not to punish, but because you finally saw your own worth too clearly to keep shrinking. You didn't leave a mess behind, you left a standard, and that's what haunts them now, because it's not just your voice they're missing, it's how your silence made them feel safe. It's the feeling of being seen without performance. It's the peace of knowing someone was in their life who wasn't trying to be impressive, just real, that memory. It doesn't fade. They can't mute it. They can't scroll past it like a post they don't want to see. Because you became part of their internal world. A steady, grounded, stoic presence that doesn't shout for attention, but is noticed most once it's gone. And now, they're searching. Maybe not for you exactly, but for the feeling you gave them. But the problem is, they're looking for it in people who don't know how to bring calm, only chaos. People who talk big, post loud, promise the world, but fall apart in silence. And every time that happens, your memory echoes louder. Not because you're reaching out, but because you're not. That's what they never expected. That the quietest person in their life would leave behind the loudest impact, that your restraint, your boundaries, your emotional maturity would be the very things that now feel irreplaceable. So if you've ever felt like you had to leave, not because you stopped caring, but because they didn't know how to hold the calm you offered, say it with me. I was the peace they weren't ready for. Drop that in the comments. Let them feel it. Let yourself remember it, because the truth is, your memory doesn't linger out of pride or pain. It lingers because you were real in a world where most people are still pretending. And trust me, what's coming next? It's the part where they start to realize you didn't just walk away. You outgrew the need to be explained. Stay with me. Why didn't I see it then? Some people don't recognize real until it stops showing up for them. At first, they don't blame themselves. It's easier to think you changed, that you switched up, that you just ghosted one day. But at 2 a.m., when the show is over, when there's no one to impress, when the mirror starts reflecting more truth than they're ready to handle, that's when the question creeps in. Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft, unsettling whisper. Why didn't I see it when it was right in front of me? They remember you. Not just the things you did, but how you did them. The way you didn't over-explain. The way you stayed calm when everything else got chaotic. The way you kept choosing them, even on the days they gave you reasons not to. And now? That memory doesn't feel warm. It stings. Because they realize you weren't just available. You were intentional. You were patient in moments they didn't deserve it. You stayed when it would have been easier to leave. You loved them with a quiet strength they thought was just your personality. But now they see it wasn't just how you were. It was what you chose to be for them. Now they're realizing something brutal. You didn't walk away to prove a point. You walked away because you finally saw they weren't seeing you. And here's the part that cuts deeper. They thought your calm was a weakness. They thought your silence was emotional distance, that your self-control meant you didn't care. But it wasn't indifference. It was emotional discipline. It was self-respect dressed in stillness. You didn't lash out. You didn't chase. You gave them the space they said they needed. And when that space became your peace, they didn't know how to handle it. They wanted you to stay, but they didn't give you reasons to. They thought love was about intensity, not consistency. They didn't realize that your restraint wasn't passivity, it was power. And now they're sitting with that truth. In bed, lights off, screen dimmed, replaying moments you probably forgot, but they can't. The way you used to ask how they were really doing, the way you paused before responding, the way you chose understanding over reaction. They didn't value it then because they weren't ready for it. They confused chaos with chemistry, games with attention, loud love with real love. But you didn't play. You didn't need to. You were showing up with your whole self, quietly, steadily. And that's the version of you they didn't understand until now, when it's too late to meet that version again. Because the person they knew, the one who gave chances, the one who stayed even when it hurt, that person doesn't exist anymore. You evolved. You outgrew the need to be noticed by someone who only paid attention when you were slipping away. You realized that real love isn't proven by how long you can wait. It's proven by how deeply you respect yourself when your waiting becomes unnoticed. And now they're left with memories, not loud ones, subtle ones, but those are the ones that linger the longest, the small kindnesses, the messages that came without asking, the way your presence made everything feel a little less heavy. That's what they miss. Not a moment, not a conversation, but you. And not the version of you they created in their head, but the version that was really there, really showing up, really trying. They didn't lose you the day you walked away. They lost you the day they made you feel invisible while you were standing right in front of them. So if you've ever had to carry the weight of being misunderstood, overlooked, undervalued, just because you were quiet, consistent, calm, type this in the comments. They didn't see me, but I see me now. Let that be your reminder. Your strength was never in your noise, it was always in your presence. And now that you've reclaimed it, they're the ones learning what it really meant. And what's coming next? It's not regret, it's recognition. The moment they start to truly understand that losing you wasn't just losing someone, it was losing something rare. Stay with me. The realization that hurts more than silence. You never really lose someone who valued you. You only lose the illusion that they ever did. They thought your silence would crack, that you'd fold eventually, that after a few days, maybe a week, you'd come back with some version of, "I miss you," because that's what always happened before. They'd pull away and you'd chase. They'd get distant and you'd close the gap. But this time something's different, and they feel it in their bones. Because silence, when it comes from someone who used to give endlessly, isn't a pause, it's a decision. Now, at 2 a.m., they're starting to realize that your absence is permanent, not in a loud door-slamming kind of way, but in the kind of way that feels settled. You're not mad, you're not bitter, you're not trying to teach them a lesson, you've just let go. And that truth, that calm, it hits harder than any fight ever could. They told themselves they had control, that stepping back would make you step forward, that their silence would create tension, confusion, urgency, but instead it created clarity for you. While they were playing chess, you were learning peace. While they were calculating your next move, you stopped playing altogether. And now? Now they're sitting in a silence that doesn't feel like power, it feels like loss. You're not watching their story anymore. You're not posting cryptic messages. You're not texting late at night or liking old pictures. You've detached, fully, gently, authentically. And what scares them isn't that you're quiet, it's that you're unreachable, not blocked, not gone, but grown. Because the scariest version of someone who used to love you isn't the one who yells or begs. It's the one who no longer needs to say anything at all. Now they're stuck with the reality they didn't prepare for. You're not waiting anymore. And that's what really breaks them. Not the silence itself, but what it represents. The end of their grip on you. The end of being the center of your emotional world. The end of having your heart without earning your presence. And maybe they never said it out loud, but they always counted on your return. They believed your love was tied to their approval, that no matter how they treated you, your heart would stay. But what they never realized is, your love was deep, but it wasn't desperate. You gave because it was in your nature, not because they deserved it. And once you recognized that, you stopped giving to someone who only knew how to take. Now they're wide awake, playing back every interaction, reading old messages, listening to voice notes, wondering if you're doing the same. But you're not. Not because you've erased the past, but because you've made peace with it. You've stopped needing answers from someone who never asked the right questions. You've stopped searching for closure in the same place you found confusion. And that kind of peace, that's what hurts them the most. Because they thought silence would be a weapon, but from you, it became a mirror. And in that mirror, they're seeing the truth. Not the version they told themselves, not the narrative they clung to, but the quiet, humbling reality that they let go of someone who was actually there for them, who actually tried, who actually stayed, until staying meant betraying themselves. That realization, it's not loud, it doesn't scream, but it keeps them up, it lingers. They don't know what they want more now, your forgiveness or your attention, but they can't have either, because a Stoic doesn't circle back to chaos. A Stoic doesn't re-enter the emotional tug-of-war just because someone finally realized they were playing alone. You've shifted, quietly, completely, and while they wrestle with the weight of what they took for granted, you rest in the clarity of what you reclaimed, your peace. If this moment speaks to you, if you've ever been on the receiving end of someone expecting you to break, but instead you chose to build yourself, drop this in the comments. I don't wait in silence, I grow in it. Let that be your affirmation. Say it, show it. Let the world see the version of you that doesn't just walk away, but rises with grace. And stay with me, because what comes next? That's the part where they start chasing closure, but realize you no longer owe them anything at all. Craving closure, but only if you deliver it. They don't want closure, they want comfort disguised as explanation, but you've already closed the door. It's late again. The lights are off, the noise is gone, and their mind is doing laps around a track that has only one finish line. You. Not because you texted, not because you called, but because you didn't. And that silence, it's not just noticed now, it's studied. They stare at their phone like it owes them a message, a paragraph, something. anything to wrap this whole thing in a soft, clean ending. But what they really want isn't closure. It's a way to avoid the weight of what they now know, that you didn't disappear. You just stopped explaining yourself. And that's what they can't stand. Because closure, real closure, doesn't always come with a conversation. Sometimes it comes with a lack of one, and deep down, they're not ready for that version of closure, the kind that happens without their permission. The kind that says, no, you don't get to poke the wound you created just to satisfy your guilt. They want you to say something, not because they're ready to hear the truth, but because hearing from you would make it easier to believe that maybe, just maybe, they still hold space in your life, that they haven't fully been replaced by your growth, that maybe there's still a version of you lingering on the other end of the screen, waiting, hoping, needing, but you're not. Because here's the thing, you gave them space. You gave them time. You gave them moments to meet you halfway, and they didn't. And now they want your silence to break open into closure. They want the keys to a door they themselves walked out of. But a Stoic doesn't hand out peace to people who created the storm. They'll say things like, I just want to understand, but understanding was available when you were present, when you were texting first, when you were showing up without being asked, when you were holding space they didn't even know they needed. Understanding was an open invitation until it expired. And that expiration, it didn't come with a warning, it came with wisdom, the kind that says, I no longer need to be understood by people who never really tried. Now they want closure, but only on their terms, only if you're the one to give it. Only if it softens the sting, but real closure doesn't cater to comfort. It arrives when you finally stop needing the apology, when you stop rehearsing what you'd say if they just reached out, when you stop writing endings for people who never even showed up for the first chapter properly. And that's exactly where you are now. They wanted control of the story, but you took control of your piece. They wanted to end things in a way that left the door cracked open, but you locked it, not out of anger, but out of evolution. And now, they're sitting in the silence they helped create, realizing that some doors don't slam, some just never reopen. You're not cold, you're clear, you're not heartless, you're healed. And that difference, it's what leaves them up at night. Not the loss of conversation, but the loss of access. Because your energy doesn't live in confusion anymore. It lives in boundaries, in dignity, in stillness. And that stillness speaks. So let them scroll. Let them wonder. Let them write a message they never send. That's not your burden anymore. You've already walked yourself home. If you've ever reached this place, this rare, powerful place where your silence isn't a strategy, but a sanctuary, type this in the comments, I owe nothing to the past that couldn't hold me. Let that be your closing line. Let it echo for the ones who left, for the ones who stayed silent too long, for the ones who never asked how you were when you were breaking quietly. And if this journey spoke to something deep inside you, press the like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to remember who they are. And don't forget to subscribe, because this doesn't end here. We're building something grounded, something rare, something that reminds people that silence, when chosen wisely, isn't emptiness. It's arrival. You didn't just walk away, you walked into yourself. And that's a chapter no one else gets to write but you.